It's time for your weekly dose of cringe. New Jesterbell video just dropped. Let's have fun with this one. What is she going to say in this one? The title of this video is Marvel is completely and utterly washed, which is crazy because Spider-Man's about to make a bunch of money at the box office. Doomsday is almost certainly going to make money at the box office. And Secret Wars is going to make money at the box office. But I guess washed like 3 years from now? Not totally sure. Let's see what she has to say.
Jesterbell, aka female Frodo Baggins here, and Marvel is washed.
Oh no.
There's really no other word for it. In fact, I would say it's finally gotten to the point that Marvel Studios looks just like the DCEU with what...
DCEU? Okay, continue.
We are seeing in the future. I know that they're about to make all the money with Spider-Man Brand New Day, and Avengers Doomsday is also going to get a lot at the box office.
And Secret Wars, which comes out next year, and confirmed by Kevin Feige to be the only movie that's coming out next year. So they're not going to have a flop next year or a financial underperformer next year, anything like what you want to call them. But continue.
Unfortunately. But when I look at what they have for their future, it just is like...
Two movies have been announced. One of them is attached to a franchise that has always done well. Black Panther it was $1 billion opening for that movie, for the first one. The second one did really well. I think it was like 800 million, around that range, somewhere around there. So there's really no indicator that the next one is going to underperform. And Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider has been something that fans wanted for years. It's been teased since 2022, around there. So yeah, I don't know what you mean. Continue.
You guys have fallen so far, and I just do not see at this point. And I would love to be wrong. I would love there to be a day when...
No, you wouldn't. You don't want to be wrong. Don't say that. That's so dumb. When these guys say, I would love to be wrong about something, you don't want to be wrong about it. Like, that's just, why even put that in your script?
We got like good Marvel films again, but I look at the... Like,
with Spider-Man literally around the corner, getting praise from people. Okay.
What they have in their slate and what they have planned. And I honestly... do not see a future for these people at this point. But
considering they have movies now laid out until 2028, no future. No future. X-Men still ready to come out after that, no future. Why do y'all watch this? Jesterbell fans, why do you watch this? What value are you getting from this? We're a minute 30 seconds into this, and it's like, what's the point? What's the point?
Let's get into it. Let's break down the absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say.
They just had. I think that it was the
disaster.
worst Comic-Con they've ever had.
Right.
So, first of all, getting into this Comic-Con, apparently there were a lot of people who had green wristbands, and that means that you definitely are allowed to get into the Hall H for the Marvel Studios presentation. Apparently, people had waited between 15 to 9 hours for these things the Friday before, and then all day in line to get in. And a lot of those people, I'm not sure if all of them were, but a very huge chunk of those people were denied access to the Hall H panel because they couldn't have enough room for them, because they had to get all the press in there and all like the family members and agents of all of the actors who were going to be at this event. So the majority of fans, as I understand, were turned away from this event after they had...
Okay, I just double-checked. San Diego Comic-Con operates Hall H with wristband policies. I just looked it up right now. So Marvel didn't have anything to do with that. Marvel is there doing their presentation. San Diego Comic-Con decides how they want that presentation to function in terms of getting people in and out of that space. Marvel doesn't do that. Marvel, that makes no sense. I've been to several cons before, and if you're somebody there presenting something or you're on a panel, you don't handle the operational side of it. That's something that is done either by the organization that is running the event or by the city itself. Like if the city needs to come in and do some sort of watching to make sure code is being upheld or something like that, they might be there, but typically it's the organization that is running the event. And I just double checked. They're the ones that do it. So this has nothing to do with Marvel. This is San Diego Comic-Con. If you have an issue with that, take it up with them. Don't blame Marvel for it.
probably gotten a hotel to be there. They
That's
drive to the event.
not Marvel's problem.
And then they waited 2 days to get in, and were told that they could get in with these wristbands. So that, and the clip is online. That is,
yeah, you spend a lot of money going to conventions, and sometimes shit doesn't work out. It sucks, and you can certainly complain about it. Absolutely, 100%. I've been to many conventions in my life, but. And look, this is not. I think Marvel's done a lot of egregious stuff. I think Disney's done a lot of egregious stuff, firing people, treating their people like shit. There's a lot of things you can complain about when it comes to Disney and Marvel as a company. This is not their problem. The San Diego Comic-Con is not MarvelCon.
Like one of the worst PR things that I think that Marvel has ever done. If
it's not
they
their
weren't
thing.
able to get a lot of fans in there, and it's supposed to be a fan event because they had all these press people in there and whatnot. Then,
well, press and fans are not the same thing. Press is press, and even though people in the press can be fans, they're not designated as fans. Fans would be people that are there attending the convention that are not part of the press.
Well, they should have told them in advance, and that is like 200 people who might not be Marvel fans anymore because they did that. But anyway, that to me is a big example of just.
So you wouldn't be a Marvel fan anymore because of how San Diego Comic-Con handled their wristband policy? It seems to me like those people probably need to just do a little bit of digging into how this all works and not be so emotionally reactive to stuff.
Just how far Marvel has fallen in terms of how they treat their own.
Marvel's fallen so much because of a wristband policy done by San Diego Comic-Con. Got it. It's a non-factor. So let's move on.
Fan base. I've never heard of something like that happening with them before.
Right.
But maybe, I feel so bad for those people. And I dodged a bullet because I was actually considering going to Comic-Con this year and it didn't work.
Well, I don't know why you would go because you literally don't like anything that they're making. Why would you go to an event with movies and TV shows of things that you don't like? Why would you spend the money? That makes no sense whatsoever.
But that's what would have happened to me if I tried to get into Hall H. But I feel so bad for those people wasting 2 days of their lives or even more of that to travel down there for that to happen. But then the presentation itself was just so washed up.
Okay,
what did we actually find out at this Comic-Con other than having a bunch of these actors get on stage? Well, we've got Ryan Gosling cast as Ghost Rider. That's fine, I guess. I don't know what a Ghost Rider film really does, to excite the future of this universe. But then
This is so weird. What do you mean? You don't know what it's a standalone Ghost Rider movie with somebody that has been fan cast for half a decade. So what are you talking about? This subjective stuff is so ridiculous. Excite the future of the franchise.
Announced the director, and it's going to be Sean Levy. A comedy director is going to do the Ghost Rider film.
The person attached to an R-rated movie that is made, I believe, let me double check, but I think it has made, what is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time? I think he's up there, which would make sense to attach him to a project that is possibly going to be R-rated. Yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. So they're taking the director of that movie and they're giving him this Ghost Rider property attached to the role is Ryan Gosling, who is working with him in the Starfighter movie and the scriptwriter of Starfighter. So they must be happy with the Star Wars Starfighter movie as well, and they're thinking of brand synergy, which means that movie will come out, people will enjoy it, they're thinking it's going to do really well, and they're banking on that pushing forward with the team involved in Ghost Rider as well. So you have a director that did a Marvel movie that made $1.3 billion, highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, connected to one of the biggest stars right now, which is Ryan Gosling. People love him. He's been fan cast as Ghost Rider, with a script writer that is attached to a Star Wars movie where all three of them are working together next year. It seems like it makes a lot of sense to me, but the brain rot's got a brain rot.
That's supposed to be horror. And a lot of people have a problem with Sean Levy's work as a comedian and don't think that he's good at all. Some people look back badly at Deadpool and Wolverine even.
It doesn't matter what people think. This is the problem with these guys, right? So the box office disagrees with what you're saying. 1.3 billion worldwide, highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. So where are you getting this argument that it's a bad idea to put this person in charge of Ghost Rider? Where's the idea? Because some people didn't like the movie? So the box office doesn't mean anything magically when you want to paint another narrative, when you want to create another narrative, which is that people didn't like it when they look back at it. It made $1.3 billion. The studio was looking at that and going, hey, this guy was attached to a very successful R-rated property. He's going to be working with one of the biggest stars in cinema right now, which is Ryan Gosling. I would say Ryan Gosling is one of the biggest guys in cinema right now. You're going to be working with him off the back of a Star Wars movie, which they must really be confident in. They must really be so it's telling me this is just nonsense. Did you even do any digging to find out that they're working together on Star Wars Starfighter? Did you even look into that? Or when you were writing this brain rot hot take script, that was too much effort for you to put into that?
But that made all the money, so I guess that's what they're thinking. We're going to have Ryan Gosling, who's a very...
Yeah, because making money is what you guys say they should be doing. Which, last time I checked, get woke, go broke was your shit. What does that mean? Get woke, go broke. It's about the box office. Holy fuck.
Popular actor right now, and we're going to have Sean Levy just because he did Deadpool and Wolverine that made a lot of money. And then
we're going to have Sean Levy attached to this because he made a movie for them that made a lot of money. Are you listening to yourself?
Then they had Doomsday come out, and they showed more footage. They showed a brand new trailer, and, the trailer leaked online, and I'm like, wow, this trailer is actually far better than the one we got. There's a little more context for who the character of Doom is with the voiceover from Reed and Sue, and it seemed like to build up his character a little bit more legitimately as a threat and imply what the story might actually about, and it was a lot better, and it was like, wow, why didn't you release that trailer online?
Because the movie is 5 months out and they still have time to release that trailer. D23 is coming up. They could do it there. They could do a lot of things. They want to save that trailer for marketing later down the road. Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
And rather than the one we got that just looked like slop.
It didn't look like slop.
Other than that, they didn't really announce anything more for Doomsday. There was an alternate poster, and then they confirmed Haley Atwell is going to be in the film, which a lot of people don't like because she's been so overused at this point.
Overused. Can you name all of the projects she's been in other than the animated stuff? Oh, she had a TV show that got canceled, and she was a cameo in a Doctor Strange movie. Other than that, she's been in the cartoons. But I don't hear people complaining about overused male characters when they're white guys. But women clearly are reused.
And then the other thing we got confirmation of Black Panther 3. And they're not recasting T'Challa. No. And this implies things worse than you guys think. So they've cast David Johnson to play T'Challa's grown-up son, and his name is also T'Challa, and he will be the new Black Panther. Now, if you're wondering why I have a problem with that, I don't care about this Black Panther franchise at this point. I know there's a lot of fans of Ryan Coogler, and, they're hyped.
By the way, correction. The second Black Panther movie made $860 million worldwide, so higher than I thought. So the Black Panther franchise is a $2.1 billion global franchise. Let's washed, I guess. I don't know.
Up as being a theater experience shot on film. I'm sure that this one will actually make some money, especially with someone other than 70-pound, no offense to Letitia Wright, but 70-pound Letitia Wright playing Black Panther that was never going to work, and they shouldn't have done.
It made $860 million at the box office. I don't really know what you mean never going to work. It literally worked in the second movie.
That, at least they've got a guy who might actually be convincing in the Black Panther suit. But here is my frustration with it. Number one, this does not resolve the problem that has been at Marvel for a long time now. Marvel has this weird idea that no one other than a living Chadwick Boseman can play Black Panther.
No, that's not. That has never been their stance on it. They're literally, so you said no one other than a living Chadwick Boseman can play back Black Panther. Shuri played Black Panther. His son is going to be Black Panther. So what you mean is T'Challa, the actual character T'Challa. But again, that's never been their stance. Let's run this back. You say Black Panther. We've already had another Black Panther. And now we're getting a third one. Actually, we've had 4, technically, if you count his father. Even though, you know, we didn't see him running around in the suit in the movie. The point is we've had multiple Black Panthers. But let's let you continue.
At Marvel for a long time now. Marvel has this weird idea that no one other than a living Chadwick Boseman can play Black Panther, to the point where they not only said
that's just a false statement. We've already had another Black Panther. Holy fuck. Vet your scripts better.
That the character could not appear in X-Men 97 in a cameo and it had to be T'Chaka, but they even erased Chadwick's final performance as the character, where in Marvel Zombies he had the voiceover lines for the character and they'd been sitting on them for a long time, and then they cut it and they made him like a voiceless role in.
So that would defeat your narrative that only Chadwick Boseman can play Black Panther, because they cut the lines that Chadwick had recorded in a version of Black Panther that he was playing, meaning that he isn't the only person they consider to be ideal to play the character, because they cut lines that he recorded that we'll never get for that character in that series. So if he's the holy grail of Black Panther, they would have left the lines in there. They would have hyped it up, but they didn't. So I don't know. You're not convincing me, but continue.
That cartoon. And I don't understand it. It's like they're like, no,
Right.
no one can ever play the character of T'Challa Black Panther other than Chadwick Boseman. And even Chadwick Boseman is not allowed to be heard as that character anymore because he passed away.
So that doesn't make any sense. You realize that doesn't make sense, right? That statement there doesn't add up. On top of that, I'm pretty sure at some point in the future, in animation or somewhere, we're going to get a voice actor playing another version of T'Challa. I'm pretty sure. We are almost halfway through this video, and it's been nothing but brain rot.
It's such a weird thing. And this to me says that they are not changing that. It's now T'Challa Jr. who's going to be Black Panther. And while that's better than what we have, it still does not correct their original mistake of
Okay, so the mistake angle is like a subjective thing. You think it's a mistake. That doesn't mean it was literally a mistake. If you look at the way they're doing this, it makes sense within the context of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Chadwick, as T'Challa, passed away. Shuri took up the mantle, and now his son is going to be taking up the mantle. It makes sense within the chronological order of the MCU, with whatever ends up being left of that chronological order after Secret Wars. But the point is, it makes sense within the context of the MCU. The idea that them not recasting Chadwick right after he died in a lead role of a movie that made them over $1 billion, with a cast of people that cared about him as a human being outside of being Black Panther in a Marvel movie. The idea that that's a mistake is a subjective take. And based on the fact the second movie did 160 million, even without him being in the movie, tells me that the idea it's a mistake doesn't even make sense financially. The movie did well in an era when superhero movies weren't breaking $1 billion.
Casting T'Challa, which they should have always done. And then that's a subjective franchise take. Of Black Panther wouldn't have become so odd and derailed, where the second one, the character randomly dies, to coincide with the actor's sudden passing in real life. And then Letitia Wright becomes Black Panther. Now it's going to be his aged up son.
Which, by the way, was also a version of Black Panther in the comics. Something that you guys ask for a lot, that they should just follow what happens in the comics. So they did, but you're still complaining.
While the rest of the Marvel Universe has not aged up that far, it doesn't make any sense. Because
we don't know what's going to happen because we haven't seen the movie. This is the kind of shit that sets me off. You don't know if it makes sense yet because you haven't seen the fucking movie. That's the point. Doomsday isn't even out yet. This Black Panther movie won't be out for another, December 2028? So we got years before this movie comes out. How can you say it doesn't make sense now? How juvenile is this? How does she even, like, it blows my mind that people listen to this. What a dumb fucking take.
Here is what really bothers me. Like, at this point, I could not
care
care
none
less
of that
about
bothered
the Black
you?
Panther franchise. The only
of course
thing that was
not.
going to get me to care about it is if they actually recast T'Challa.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So the movie franchise that is built around black characters, you have no interest in it. And you're going to create an impossible scenario where it's because of the Chadwick Boseman death, and they should have done exactly what I wanted, because now fuck everybody else on the cast. Fuck all the other characters. Because of this one thing, this one impossible thing that I'm asking them to do that they didn't do. So fuck the rest of them. And it just so happens to be the black characters. Convenient.
But here is the bad news that this brings to us. Marvel Studios is not rebooting after Secret Wars, and Kevin Feige has confirmed that. They might use Secret Wars to, shave off a few actors or get rid of a few plot points that would be better to just move on from, but no. Overall, they are not rebooting this universe. We are going to have to stay on the same continuity, building on the same past that we've always had. And
yeah, like a full reboot would be stupid. Like, you talk about stuff that doesn't make sense. A full reboot doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. There's too much investment in some of these characters in the franchises. To reboot the entire universe would mean getting rid of successful things within that universe for a few things that didn't work. So from a business standpoint, that doesn't make any sense. You talk about dumb shit, that would be dumb. It's a soft reboot. They're going to be correcting things that didn't work while hanging on to the stuff that did work. This isn't a DCU situation, which is literally, when you were saying earlier in this video that it looks like Marvel is following the fate of the DCEU, it's not, because there's no reboot. So your original analysis at the beginning of this video doesn't make sense considering what we are landing on right now, which is that they're not doing a full reboot. So are you asking them to do a full reboot? You want it to be the DCEU to the DCU? Is that what you want from Marvel? Because we see how well that has worked out for them, according to you guys. According to you guys, right? So Marvel's going, hey, we're going to keep the stuff that's working for us. We're going to get rid of the stuff that's not. That's not good enough for you either. At a certain point, it's not about the quality of the product. It's about the narrative that you're selling online.
This brings us to another rumor that is out there that I think is true. That Robert Downey Jr. post Secret Wars is not going to be coming back as Doctor Doom. No, he is going to be coming back as Iron Man. And they are going to make new Iron Man movies with a 60-year-old Robert Downey Jr. I can't think of anything that sounds more plausible, and I can't think of anything that sounds worse. Like, this rumor is everywhere. It was spoken on Nerdrotic as well, and he is the same guy who's had accurate insider information.
No, he hasn't. Nerdrotic has been wrong plenty of times. As a matter of fact, he was just wrong about the Odyssey. Like, he went on Piers Morgan saying the Odyssey was going to be a cultural failure because it had a black woman in it. And we found out that was wrong. So that's the most recent thing he's been wrong about. But there's lots of things he's been wrong about. I've covered him for years. But of course you cite him because you want him to be besties with you. You want to be tight with that circle because you're a pick-me.
On what's going on with Marvel, saying Punisher and Hulk are going to be in Brand New Day and all of that. But on the one hand, this makes the most sense for them financially to do because Doomsday is actually, just blowing up in pre-sales. My early showings at the theater I'm going to see it at are sold out. So it makes sense that Robert Downey Jr. alone as Iron Man.
So let's pause on that for a second. It's blowing up in pre-sales, which means it's going to make a lot of money. So we know Spider-Man's going to make a lot of money. We don't know how much. We know it's going to make a lot. Doomsday is already selling tickets now, probably going to make a ton of money. And then Secret Wars is probably going to make a ton of money. So this video is either cope for Marvel fans who haven't been into the Marvel Cinematic Universe for years that just want to keep complaining, or it is a narrative to drive views to your videos to make money off of fake outrage. It's one of those two things.
And it's going to get people back. And that is a very hard character to recast. Iron Man was not this popular character before Robert Downey Jr. took him on and infused his own personality into the...
Wait. Hold on. So Iron Man is a hard character to recast because of how well received he was and how much money he made for Marvel. But Black Panther, who also was loved as Chadwick Boseman as that character, which made a ton of money for Marvel in its debut, that character is easy to recast. That's an easy recast to just pick another person to play Black Panther. But Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, for some reason, that one is a hard recast. That's a tough one. But also, you don't want to see him back as Iron Man. You don't want him back as Iron Man, but you also want Marvel to keep doing what they were doing before because the new stuff isn't working. These are impossible things. These are impossible. You are creating a scenario where there's nothing that they can do to make you happy. If movies make money, it's still a problem. If they don't do the exact recastings you want, that's a problem. If they don't keep the same people around, that's a problem. You have a million things, a million criteria that contradict with each other that make it impossible for Marvel to do anything that you would like.
Character, but how is it possibly going to work having a 60-year-old Robert Downey Jr.? Like he looks his age at this point. Like he's like, looks like a 60-year-old man. Like when
yeah, because he's 60.
When the Iron Man movie started, he was, well-preserved man getting into He was a well-preserved man getting into his 40s, and, he looked great, and it was a completely different time. They will not be able to make good Iron Man movies in this day and age, because we are in a...
Wait. So, the guy that they brought back for Doomsday, that is driving a lot of these ticket sales, the Robert Downey Jr., who also was attached to some of the biggest Marvel movies of all time, it would be impossible for them to make a good Iron Man movie now, even though he's in Doomsday, and you've already admitted that him being in Doomsday is a good thing. It's driving ticket sales. But for some reason, they can't make a good Iron Man movie based on what? I want you to articulate why that is.
Completely different time. When the first Iron Man came out, we had a Hollywood that had much better writers, much better directors.
Some of the same people that were writing back then are writing now. But continue. Same directors too. Christopher Nolan was directing back then. He's directing now. I don't really know what this is a dumb argument.
Directors in a much better place at that time, like Jon Favreau.
Right.
Just overall, people were in a much better place.
And Jon Favreau classically not working at Hollywood anymore.
Order to create good stuff in Hollywood. And the first Iron Man is very different than even a lot of the Marvel films that would come after it. It was sort of like an adult drama about a spiraling celebrity who was trying to find some redemption that just happened to be in a superhero skin.
And we don't have things like that anymore. Marvel doesn't make anything like that anymore. They didn't just have a great series called Wonder Man where they dive into storylines similar to some of the earlier Marvel projects. They didn't have anything like that. Definitely not reminiscent of the early Marvel stuff, but continue.
It was a very mature film. And it's like no movies like that exist anymore. That was a product of the 2000s. These days, it's like, you don't have the writers to pull off this material. You don't have the writers, I would even say, as I've seen male characters portrayed, you don't even have the writers who will portray these kinds of male characters correctly. And also, Robert Downey Jr. has gotten too old for this role. And I'm not even sure what you could do with him as a character. He already had his arc. And you are going to do the one good thing that Marvel
I'm just checking right now while she's...
satisfying conclusion to Tony Stark.
We're gonna look now because the guys that wrote Iron Man, which is Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, Art Markham and Matt Holloway were the two writing teams in the 2008 Iron Man film. They're still working in the industry. So I don't really know what she means. Like, specifically, those writers are still working in the industry.
Arc, and you're going to undo that somehow. You're undoing, like, what was supposed to be our big ending for the MCU in order to do all of this. Like, it's just complete desperation, and it's just complete washed from Marvel, where...
Desperation, but you've already admitted it's going to make a ton of money. It's a complete wash, but you've already admitted it's going to make a ton of money. You've already admitted these things.
They've just torn down everything good that they had set up. But as for Tony Stark coming back with Robert Downey Jr. portraying him, you might think, is Chris Evans going to come back as Captain America? No. No, no, no. And Anthony Mackie was on the floor of Comic-Con assuring people and telling people that they need to read the comics and that they need to remember that Steve Rogers became...
Because Marvel actors have historically been very honest and straightforward about things that happen in movies every single time they've said it. Because you would spoil something like that so far out from the movie. Anthony Mackie, who's been attached to Marvel for a long time now at this point, would go out and spoil such a big plot point 5 months out from the movie coming out. Could it be true? Maybe. Is everything they say always true? No. But go ahead, more brain rot.
Nomad, and he insists that Sam Wilson is still going to be Captain America and, you know, using the comics to defend it.
Steve Rogers is...
Sam Wilson will still be Captain America. Like, I don't know, are you disputing that? He's in the posters for the film in the Captain America costume. If it's something from the comics that actually happened, you should be supporting that. That's what you want. You want fidelity. You want these classic stories to be told in the movies the way they were in the comics. If he comes back as Nomad, that's him following through on a classic story.
Returning, not Captain America.
No, Steve Rogers in the comic book. There is a comic book. You say you're a nerd, read the comic book. Don't be a nerd by trade, be a nerd by fact, right? So in the comic book, Steve Rogers becomes Nomad.
And it just really, really infuriated me. First of all, if you're going to throw...
Why would it infuriate you that he's staying Captain America and Steve Rogers is becoming a character that he was in the comics for this one movie? Why would that infuriate you? Do you want people coming back to play the characters they were playing before or not? So now you want Chris Evans to come back as Steve Rogers, even though he's much older than where he was when he started. You want him to come back to play the Steve Rogers Captain America. But Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark Iron Man, you don't want that. Wacky stuff.
That it happened in the comics at us, I'll tell you, mantle swaps were never meant to last in the comics. Mantle swaps were made to make you miss the main version of these characters because...
Well, it wouldn't be a mantle swap because the thing about it is if he comes back as Nomad and then he's only staying for one movie, then there's no swapping of the mantle. He's playing a different version of that character and then he's not going to be back at all. I mean, unless they're going to keep him as Nomad in films beyond Doomsday, which I highly doubt. I highly doubt that. I don't even know if they'll use the name Nomad in the movie.
There's no one who's ever going to really replace Steve Rogers as Captain America in terms of appeal. And I will say Sam Wilson has never been popular as Captain America.
Which is so weird because you're saying that now, but you're acknowledging that you think Robert Downey Jr. shouldn't be coming back to play Tony Stark as Iron Man. But then you also talked about how it would be so hard to recast him, to bring in another Tony Stark. I mean, is your brain not firing correctly? Is that what we're doing here?
In the comics, but they're just rubbing it in there. And the reason why they're doing that is because while, you know, no one is in place for Robert Downey Jr. to oust out as he's coming back as Tony Stark, they still do not want to let go of the ideology behind Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Oh, so it's an ideology. Got it. It's not something from the comics. It's an ideology specific to the MCU. Touch fucking grass, I swear to God.
They don't want to hurt that actor's feelings. They don't want to rile up the 5 people who are defending that casting, regardless of the reality of box.
So they don't want to hurt the actor's feelings, but you're acknowledging here that you believe there's nobody that likes this character in this role. You're like, they don't want to rile up the 5 people's feelings. If I can tell you this 100%, if they thought for a second that it was more financially beneficial for them to move on and do something different, they would do it. They would do it. We've seen them cancel shows. We've seen them not do movies. We've seen them move on with stuff and leave other characters behind. We've seen this before. There's really nothing tethering them to Anthony Mackie as Sam Captain America. There's nothing tethering them to that. They could kill that character off if they wanted. If they really didn't want Sam to be around as Captain America, they could just kill the character off.
Office and the rotting Sam Wilson Captain America merchandise that I just saw rotting on the shelves for months out.
Merchandise sitting on shelves on sale is a purchasing problem with the companies that buy them. If Walmart buys 1 million action figures and can't sell more than 500,000 of them, that's on them. They've already purchased it. Disney's already got their money.
after. So yeah, you guys are going to get 60-year-old Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Iron Man, but you will never see Steve Rogers as Captain America again. Not in Doomsday, not in Secret Wars, not any time after that, because Anthony Mackie now has ownership of...
Wait, Steve Rogers isn't a real person. What you mean is you won't see Chris Evans as Steve Rogers Captain America again. Right? Did you just say Steve only? You didn't say Chris?
The rotting Sam Wilson Captain America merchandise that I just saw rotting on the shelves for months after. So yeah, you guys are going to get 60-year-old Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Iron Man, but you will never see Steve Rogers as Captain America again.
So it's not about Chris Evans, it's about the white guy Steve Rogers. It's not just about Chris. Because you keep forgetting that Chris Evans plays Steve Rogers, that he's not Steve Rogers. I guess you're forgetting that.
In Doomsday, not in Secret Wars, not any time
You don't
after
know that.
because
you don't know
Anthony Mackie now has ownership of that mantle.
You don't know that, and Anthony Mackie is older than Chris Evans.
Regardless of if he makes money or not, which is just poking in the eye of fans who see the reality. We can, have Letitia Wright. We can admit that her as Black Panther didn't work and get a new one coming in, but we cannot admit that Sam Wilson as Captain America failed and get back, the old Captain America.
Okay, so you're already admitting here that any proof you had that Marvel would hold on to a ideology or woke type character, like a woman as Black Panther or a black man as Captain America, you're admitting here that they can move on from those things, that they are capable of moving on from those kinds of things. So your argument that they're holding on to Anthony Mackie because of ideological reasons doesn't make sense when you've already admitted that they're moving on from something that you believe is the wrong direction for a character, with Letitia as Shuri, as Black Panther. You've already admitted they're capable of moving on from that. Now, I would disagree with the decisions that they're making, like her insinuation that the decisions they're making behind the scenes have something to do with ideology, obviously. But if we take it from her position about them having ideology, then it makes no sense for them to move on from a diverse woman Black Panther, because that's not working, but hold on to a diverse version of Captain America when it's not working. It doesn't make sense. So your evidence for that is zero. You have no evidence of them holding on to a ideological diverse character beyond making money. You have no proof of that except for Anthony Mackie. And if the claim is that this is something they're willing to do, it would have to be evidence beyond Anthony Mackie, because that's the claim. You claim that's why they're keeping him around. So you need proof of that somewhere else.
Recast Steve Rogers or whatever, because of the ideology that was fueling that decision in the first place. And we don't want to hurt Anthony Mackie's feelings, which means we are never getting Captain...
And you have no proof of the ideology because you have no evidence of it anywhere else, and you have no proof that they're not trying to hurt Anthony Mackie's feelings. This is garbage content.
Steve Rogers Captain America again, unless maybe 10 to 15 years from now, which is just infuriating. It's toxic.
Right, so they will do it again. They will do it again. You just said a minute ago we'll never see it. And now you're saying they will, but it'll be 10 or 15 years. So is it never, or is it 10 or 15 years? Which one of those things is your stance on it?
Down to the fans where we know the reality and we don't actually want this. But then there was even more talking down to the fans on the press junket. We had Kevin Feige telling all of us, responding to all the people that say that this Doctor Doom was not built up, and he wasn't. This was a pivot from the fact that their plans with Kang and Jonathan Majors fell apart. He told fans that they actually were under the false impression that Thanos was ever built up in the first place because...
Okay, so Thanos was on screen prior to Infinity War for under 3 minutes. We get less than 3 minutes of Thanos prior to Infinity War. And although there might be little things that happen here and there, the fact is Thanos as a character was not fully established in the MCU as a threat until the very beginning of Infinity War, which is why the Hulk gets his ass handed to him. Whether you like it or not, when Hulk gets beat the fuck up and all the people from Asgard get beat up, it happens because they're trying to show that Thanos is a threat. They do that establishing intro into Infinity War with Thanos. So that's why that happens. He's right here. The idea that Thanos was built up in multiple films as a character prior to Infinity War is not true. Kang had more build-up in the little amount of time that we had Kang than Thanos ever had and that Doctor Doom will ever have. So here we have people asking for homework. They want homework about Thanos, or about Doctor Doom, I should say. They want homework about Doctor Doom before Doomsday, instead of going into the movie and letting us find out why Doom is a threat. They could do something incredible within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie that establish why Doom is such a massive threat. Maybe Doom isn't supposed to be a threat prior to Doomsday. Did you ever think about that? Maybe Doom is supposed to be masquerading as a protagonist for part of this film before he heel turns and becomes an antagonist. Maybe that's going to happen in the movie. Maybe that's why there is no build up to him being a threat, because we're going to establish that in the movie. On top of that, there is historically tons of movies across time. Actually, the vast majority of movies where villains are established in one movie, because that's how filmmaking works. You're asking Marvel to do something that it didn't do with Thanos. They didn't have Thanos in multiple movies leading up to Thanos as a character. We got tiny bits of Thanos. Again, less than 3 minutes of this character in end credit scenes, things like that. But he was never really established. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even the same actor, and his visuals look different by the time we get to Infinity War. That tells you how much fidelity and cohesiveness they had for leading up to Thanos in the first place. So I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings to be told that this guy in your mind where you're like, Thanos was so great. Yeah, Thanos was great in Infinity War when we finally got Thanos. I think Infinity War is better than Endgame. I think Thanos is one of the best characters introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Thanos was a main character in one movie. Infinity War was low-key like Thanos' movie. So a movie called Doomsday that introduces us to Doom seems appropriate, considering the fact that Kang, which we had tons of Kang, and people complained, they're like, how can Kang get defeated in one of the first movies he's in? How can that happen? Because there's no way to set up the threat of a villain in a big way prior to him being a big threat. Think about this for a second. You're going to have Doom show up in a Fantastic Four movie and then win? So you would want the Fantastic Four movie to be a vehicle for Doom. You'd want that to be a movie to establish Doom as a character. Not a Fantastic Four movie, but a Doctor Doom setup movie. I don't want that. I don't think most people want that. Like, Quantumania was a setup movie for Kang, and look how poorly that movie did. Look how poorly that movie was received outside of Kang being defeated at the end. The movie still didn't do well, because it wasn't an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. It was a setup movie for Kang. And any movie that was trying to establish Doom prior to Doomsday would be a setup movie for Doom. And nobody fucking is asking for that. Doomsday is the Doctor Doom movie. He's being honest here. I don't always agree with Kevin Feige, but this is true. There was no big setup for Thanos.
He said he only got 3 minutes of screen time. Now, that is a complete and utter lie to say that Thanos was never built up as a character. Thanos was
He wasn't. As a concept, Thanos was built up. There's a difference. We did not really meet Thanos until Infinity War. The concept of Thanos was mentioned and teased for films in those first 3 phases leading up to Thanos being in Infinity War. The concept of Thanos, characters attached to Thanos. That was how they did it. Thanos himself, as a character, has 3 minutes or less screen time in the MCU.
Introduced as the mysterious him who was providing Loki's army in the Avengers 2012, which is like a major plot point. He is the person pulling the strings behind the scenes. Then
as a concept. Thanos as a concept, not as a character. It's 2 different things. If you wanted more conceptual ideas around Doctor Doom leading into Doomsday, that would be different. That would be a different conversation. But that would require Doctor Doom to have been a villain prior to the movie. And we don't know if that's what he's going to be. How about you wait till you see the movie and then decide if it works or not?
Concept of the Infinity Stones was interlaced throughout all the movies, with the Tesseract, which is really the Space Stone, being introduced in the first Avenger, and then the Ether also bring up the idea of the Infinity Stones. The
stones being in the MCU and Thanos as a character are 2 different things.
Thor: The Dark World in 2013, where they had a post-credit scene that was introducing them, with the Collector saying 1 down, 5 to go. Then we had Guardians of the Galaxy.
But the Collector, again, not Thanos.
Full on introduced Thanos and that he's a mass murderer,
right.
what his name is, and a full face reveal, and his relationship with Gamora, and what he has indirectly done to people like Drax.
Indirectly, again, as a concept. I keep putting this out there. We did not actually meet Thanos as a character, like get to know Thanos as a character until Infinity War. But continue.
In Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, and it fully introduced the concept of Infinity Stones, and then Kevin Feige literally reworked Age of Ultron so that it would build up into Infinity War, which got a lot of criticism at the time. Tony has his vision of a lost space battle in the future, foreshadowing Thanos and Infinity War. It directly influences his actions in Age of Ultron and Civil War. You have the vision of the Infinity Stones from Thor in that movie.
And so you're saying that there's going to be nothing from the previous phases we've had since then that's going to lead up to Doctor Doom. Now we're getting an additional version of Endgame that's going to introduce some stuff. We know that something that happened in the Fantastic Four is connected to Doctor Doom, right? We understand that. And then we're getting a 3-hour Doctor Doom movie, and I don't know if anything from Spider-Man is going to connect to it because I'm seeing it tomorrow, but we don't know what that's going to do in terms of that. We have no idea what any of this previous stuff is going to do in terms of what we're going to get in Doomsday. We don't know. We have no idea yet. The only reason you even put together all the fucking bits and pieces about Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet and these individual gems or stones, the only reason we did that is because a lot of us comic book fans knew what it was. We saw it coming, but the casual viewers didn't always connect those dots. Those were things in there for diehard fans that once the momentum got going, then we can look back and go, oh yeah, those things were there. But for the casual audience, it didn't matter.
Which is what makes him leave, which was what leads to Ragnarok. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 foreshadowing Thanos. Like, Thanos was like a shadow over the MCU for 6 years.
As a concept.
Until his ultimate reveal. This character was built up, and they were trying to do the same to Kang until that completely fell apart.
No, they weren't. Kang was different. See, this is so stupid. Kang was different. We got introduced to Kang very early. We got introduced to Kang very, very, very early in the idea of who Kang was going to be. And then Marvel saw, hey, wait a minute, maybe using the character, the villain, so heavily in different properties leading up to this, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we keep a little bit of mystery around this character, right? Maybe that's what we do. But you don't want that either.
And Doctor Doom, the only movie that he has had to build him up at all is a post-credit scene at the end of Fantastic Four last year.
Right.
It is a complete...
And a re-release of Endgame that's clearly going to set up Doomsday. But I guess we're forgetting that.
Lie to say that this character was built up like Thanos at all. But what Kevin...
He didn't say that he did. I don't remember reading any quote where Kevin Feige said that Doctor Doom is built up exactly like Thanos. Point me in the direction of him saying that he was built up the same way as Thanos.
Feige has done here is that he's talking down to the fans. He's gaslighting us. Like, we don't see that Thanos was clearly built up and that
He's not gaslighting you. That's not what gaslighting is. That's not what gaslighting is. Like, he is establishing that Thanos as a character got less than 3 minutes of screen time prior to Infinity War. That's not gaslighting. That's just the truth. The idea of Thanos as a concept, as a threat being in the background of some of the MCU projects before Infinity War, he didn't say anything about that. He didn't say Thanos as a concept was not present in the MCU at all.
Doctor Doom doesn't clearly come out of nowhere as a pivot from their plans that weren't working.
Is there a secret that Kang, they had to pivot from Kang? Is that a secret? Jonathan Majors doing all the stuff he did, is it a secret on why they did the pivot? Or is it like publicly well known why they changed things?
Respect the guy more if he was tongue-in-cheek about it, if he was a bit self-deprecating about it, if he admitted, sort of in a joking way.
No, you wouldn't, because you have attacked people like Pedro Pascal and other people who have made little jokes about stuff and things like that. You've done the same thing to them. So, yeah, I don't believe you.
what fans all know, that this is a pivot, and that if he owned up
Yes,
to
it's a
that,
pivot.
but still tried to hype up what they're doing with Doctor Doom regardless, I would have a lot more respect for the guy in showing self-awareness.
Does he have to come out and be like, yeah, things didn't work out with Kang because Jonathan Majors ended up being a piece of shit? Is that what you want? Or is he just going to focus on the positives and moving forward, which is like our next project is Doctor Doom. We're going to talk positively about that. I'm not going to dwell on things that didn't work. From a business standpoint, owners don't sit around and do public press and constantly talk about their failures. That's not a reality in business.
Of what this is doing, but instead pinning it on the fans and making it out like it's our fault that we had these expectations for Doom being built up that were actually never there for Thanos, even though we know it's there. It's once again pinning it on the fans and
is telling the truth. Like, is this like is it child behavior here where you're like, I don't want to know the truth, mommy. Don't tell me the truth. I want you to lie to me. Make sure you think about my feelings when you tell me the truth. When he says that Thanos as a character got 3 minutes of screen time prior to Infinity War, that's not a lie. You are adding a bunch of things to his argument that he didn't make. You're adding a bunch of opinions that you have about his position on this, things that he didn't say. And then you're saying, oh, what about the fans? What about the fans? Are you a fan of Marvel? Are you the fan right now? Because you've done nothing but shit on Marvel for years. So I would say you're no longer the target audience. So maybe sit this one out. Maybe you should sit this one out.
It on audiences that are the ones who are paying money to go see this kind of
You're
stuff.
Not, but according to you, it's Marvel is dead, and it's been dead for a while. According to you. So what audience are you talking about?
Absolutely terrible PR. And once again, I'm not really seeing the future of this universe. I'm looking forward to what is after Secret Wars. A Ghost Rider movie, Black Panther 3 with T'Challa Jr., an X-Men movie, which is going to have wildly different versions of the X-Men characters, apparently, from what I'm seeing. I do not like what I'm seeing from that X-Men at all.
Well, there's nothing there. What do you mean you don't like what you're seeing from that X-Men? Like, there's nothing there. Quite literally, I just watched an interview with them last week where he says that no one has been cast in any of the X-Men movies. So everything is speculation in terms of like any characters that we don't know. Like we haven't even been told what the X-Men movie looks like yet. We have no idea.
And then I guess a new Tony Stark Iron Man movie coming after that. It
based
just
on
seems
Nerdrotic.
really, really disjointed. It feels like, once again, James Gunn's DCU, where it's like we have Superman, but then we have Supergirl and Clayface or something like that. It's like...
So let me get this right. Ghost Rider, Black Panther, X-Men, and Iron Man to you feels like Clayface.
It doesn't seem to make any sense for what it's building on or where it's going after this. It just seems like random.
It's almost like you need to see Secret Wars and understand what the landscape of the MCU is going to be after Secret Wars. It's almost like that's what you have to do. But again, that's asking too much. You would think these fucks would learn after Odyssey to maybe wait until you see the thing before you start fucking rage baiting.
Projects that they're throwing out there. The only difference is DC cannot make any money apart from Batman, whereas I think any project that has Robert Downey Jr. involved, like Doomsday or his Iron Man movie, I think that it will make some money, at least for...
So I can't do this anymore. We've done this for too long. So here you are going, the MCU is washed, right? It's washed. But then in the same fucking video, you talk about how all of these things are going to be financially successful because of XYZ. Black Panther is going to be successful because it's attached to Black Panther franchise. Anything with Robert Downey Jr. in it's going to make money, considering Doomsday and Secret Wars and a solo Iron Man movie that we obviously have never been told about other than Nerdrotic. All those things are going to make money for as a movie. And then you have the Ghost Rider, the Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider movie with Sean Levy attached to it, who made $1.3 billion with Deadpool and Wolverine, which leans into the fact that maybe a Ryan Gosling, Sean Levy movie is probably going to do well, especially considering people have been looking for it. So literally there's nothing after Spider-Man that screams financial failure or creative failure, because we don't know what a lot of this is going to be. We have no idea. So you have Spider-Man, which is going to make money, Doomsday, which is going to make money, Secret Wars, which is going to make money, Black Panther 3, which is going to make money, I guess an Iron Man film that we know is going to make money, and a Ghost Rider movie, which, based on everything we know, will probably make money with all the people attached to it. So I don't really understand what the fuck this video is for, or what her audience wants. Is this echo chamber shit? You talk about gaslighting. What the fuck is this video? What the fuck is this? People ask why I get so frustrated with Jesterbell videos compared to other videos, because there's nothing here. There's no substance. This isn't reality. This is the actual personification of the effects of brain rot. That's what this is. It is her just talking out of her ass for 15, 20 minutes at a time with nothing. She references Nerdrotic for information. She contradicts herself constantly in videos. We watched this video. She contradicted herself multiple times in one video. So I can't imagine what value anyone is getting out of a Jesterbell video. Again, I watched it to point and laugh because it's so fucking hilarious that a content creator with the lazy shit that goes into making these videos even has a platform on YouTube. It's funny to me. And sad. Funny and sad at the same time. Holy fuck.